What's up, everyone? So finally got the car back, and I am working on some just kind of hit or miss projects. I wanted to drive this thing home, so we kind of threw lines on, made adapters, stuff like that. Anyway, I wanted to clean it all up, and this is where I'm at right now. So I made a new line for the coolant routing for the wastegate. This line was just a little short to get it home. I just capped it off. Anyway, made this new line. I might come back and heat wrap it at a later time, but this is pretty heavy duty fuel line. And then same thing on the bottom side. Before, it was wrapped around from here. It kind of just did a loop here and then down. So I went ahead, made a new line, used some P-clamps, routed it and zip tied it up to where you can hardly see it anymore. And I'm pretty happy with it overall. Next thing I'm gonna do is start working on this line. I'm probably gonna try to reroute it in a little bit better location, maybe shorten these lines up a little bit. I mean, it's clear plastic, it's gonna look ugly, but the good thing about it is it has a 450-degree operating temp, so that's a huge factor. Couple small things also that I was working on. This will probably be a later project where I can have someone actually fab me up an actual intake, but I got this 135-degree coupler. Probably end up needing to do a 180 and then trying to expand it out a little bit. But I cut this down to where this leg was just enough for this to bite down on. And I'll show you here in a little bit, but it fits in here. You can see I took apart the headlight motor. Just trying to clear. Probably what I'll end up doing, let me see if I can pull this out easy. You know, it's a worm gear in there. What I'm probably gonna end up doing is cut this off here, weld on a bolt head, and then because I need the worm gear down in there to keep it from moving. Let me see if I can show you real quick. So without that in there, there's no resistance whatsoever. When the worm gear is in there, it stays in place pretty dang good. Spin it up. So it's up, holds force pretty good, even though that's moving a little bit, but when it's all the way up, you can trust me, it stays. So I think with a bolt in there, it'll allow me to have a much more clearance in through this really tight area. And all I need, I mean, you saw I can spin this by hand pretty easy. So that's a modification I'll end up doing here in a little bit. Gonna try to do some P-clamps for this oil line, make it a little bit more permanent and safer in there. It's just small projects right now until we got some fun stuff over there that you'll see in an upcoming video. New high pressure fuel system, lightweight battery, all kinds of good stuff. So I'm gonna go ahead and set the camera up and just keep on working. Just gonna be a boring time-lapse video. All right, so man, in that time lapse, I had to cut out so much time. I was trying to drill these little P-clamps out so I could get them to fit over the coilover studs. And my gosh, I mean, I ruined probably 3 of them, and then the drill just kept on catching. Anyway, I have it routed in a pretty nice orientation. I'm pretty happy with that, nice and away from the heat. Looks uniform. I'm really happy with how all of that looks. I need to zip tie the O2 line to this little bracket right here to keep it out of the way. I am happy with how much space there is over here now with all the lines cleaned up quite a bit. So this is what I think we're gonna end up doing. Overall, I think it's just gonna be some 4-inch aluminum, and I'm probably gonna just get a turbo guard until I can actually have someone fabricate a full intake. Probably go back to Jacob, but 4-inch aluminum, and then come back down into this corner and I'll build a block or a wall to kind of divert some of that heat away. But nice big open space over there. Probably get a bigger air filter than what's over there, and I think it won't be too difficult. This oil feed line can be moved a little bit, and it's really just going to be trying to fit it underneath the hood. I think there's enough room, but it's just going to be a game of Legos and try to build something in there that works and clears everything. This right now is already hitting right here, so it's small things. I mean, the hood shuts, but when you put a piece of pipe in there, it may not. So it's just going to be some figuring out. Like I said, I'll probably do a turbo guard for right now, and hell, that might get me by if I do one of the fine mesh ones for the street. Looking forward to race season and the upcoming projects we got. The pups are excited too.
Dirty dog. Second dirty dog. Slopping me out of shit.
I got this figured out for an intake. This is the shape. This is actually the old 4-inch downpipe from this car, or not downpipe, but fender exit. It actually ended up fitting pretty good. I cut it off. This was the side with the slant tip. Cut that flush. Cut off the O2 sensor bung, and then just cleaned up this cut down here because it went down to 3-inch. It was where the turbo connects to the downpipe. So right now this is just mocked up, zip tied here. This is just going to be a template, so to say, for what we're going to do in aluminum. The guy, or Leslie, his dad actually has a piece of 4-inch aluminum. It's quite a bit longer than this. It's about 36 inches. Overall, this is about 24, but it has like 3 pie cuts right in the middle to get this, or to get a bend. And I think that's going to be perfect for what I need here. So hood shuts, everything. As I talked about, I'll probably end up using some factory bolt holes. You know, there's plenty around in here. A lot of 10 millimeter stuff. I mean, there's 3 right there. And just making a small box and basically boxing this area off. Doesn't need to be pretty. Doesn't need to come even above, you know, the hood line. It just needs to be, you know, right here. Come on this side, so it'll be a little U underneath here, and then a straight piece back to the firewall, and that's that. Yep. So I'm pretty happy with how that worked out. It's kind of funny that, you know, we're recycling parts for now. So some more just tidying up. A lot of cleaning today, a lot of cleaning up of wires. So I relocated a bunch of things. Like I finally mounted the fuse panel. I relocated the OBD2 and check engine light. I sealed off around the transmission where the turret actually comes through. The wiring still kind of looks like a mess down here. There's just a lot of stuff going on, but it's tied up and out of the way. I was looking ahead to a future project and was able to figure out the fuel line situation that I'm going to need. Basically, my feed line comes up right above the bell housing. It Y's off. One line goes from a -8 down to a -6 right before it goes into the high pressure fuel pump. The other part of the Y comes in, feeds this fuel rail like this, comes down, goes into the fuel pressure regulator, and then on the back side of that, it goes to the return to the tank. So basically what I'm gonna have to do is, when I get rid of this radium setup from the Y, I'll just take a -8 line and then route it underneath the intake manifold and then right into the fuel pressure regulator. That'll solve my issue. I just need to make one line. It gets rid of all the failure points. So we have 1, 2 lines, the fuel rail, a couple adapters, all these you know, fuel injectors and things. So it'll be nice to get rid of some of those leak potentials. Took the old shifter out, and I'm just gonna try wire wheeling it. Once I get it all cleaned up as best I can, then I'm gonna go ahead and probably clear coat all of this, or I might try something else. But anyway, I'm gonna do a little cleaning, make it look a little bit nicer, and then I might try pulling off the turret on the transmission. Let me show you. So I might try pulling this off. It's just 3 Allen screws. It goes into the trans. I've never pulled it off. But basically what I did on accident was, when I put this on, I had to heat it up real hot, and then I had to shove it on. And when I did that, I didn't get it perfectly straight. So I would like the shifter to actually, so right now it sits on this side, and I'd like it to sit on this side. That way it's more in line, perfectly straight with the shifter. As you can see right now, it's offset just a little bit. It makes finding third gear just a little weird. So might try getting to that. Worst case scenario, it goes back together the same way I just took it off. So. so went and got the jaw puller out of the toolbox. Was able to pull this off the turret, and I don't think I caused any damage. Now, remember I said I had to get a lot of heat onto this in order to get this on? Well, you can clearly see this O-ring right here is toast. So I'm going to try to find a new O-ring for this and do maybe a slight rebuild. It never leaked, but while we're here, we might as well try to make it a little bit better, right? So anyway, now that I have this off, I am going to take it into work, probably try to drill this out just slightly larger so the actual set screw in there sits on there instead of it just being a press fit. I'm glad I had this puller and I didn't have to use heat or anything, and I'm glad this didn't get broken and go to waste. So that's that. Good progress. I have some sandpaper wrapped around the turret where this piece mounts onto. Like I said, I had to use a lot of heat for this to expand. So right now I'm just taking down, I have some emery cloth inside of a drill, or inside of a 22 millimeter socket, and just kind of spinning it back and forth. So you can see it's cleaning it up pretty good. Turned out pretty good. Happy with that. See how it fits. Oh yeah, that's perfect. Might go down a little bit further, but overall, I'm happy with it. Nice tight fit. Clean it up a little bit. Should be good to go. We got some clear coat going on these shifter parts, and I already got the turret installed. Added some fresh RTV and some silicone, or white lithium grease I should say, in there. Seems to be all back and good. Gonna do probably a couple more coats on this than I probably should, considering I'm gonna be touching, especially up here, quite a bit. So I don't want this to wear off and start rusting over time. All right, look at that. It's all back in. So as you saw previously, this heim joint was over on this side, and it was causing this arm to go in at an angle, and you would feel it going from second to third. You would find the gear, but then you'd have to kind of push it towards the front left of the car. And now it is spicy. With the car moving, it's kind of hard to pull back into neutral, or without the car moving, I should say. But yeah, second, third, right in. It's super easy. I do need to get a new shouldered bolt for this, but yeah, super happy with how that looks. You know, again, we cleaned it up, clear coated it a bunch, but then just the alignment is so much better. I'm so happy with it overall. Can't wait to rip it.